Hello, Mr. Beard here with your um, instructions for our Shakespeare Webquest. So our Shakespeare Webquest is an activity designed to get us a little more familiar with the bard here, Willie Shakespeare. As we begin reading Romeo and Juliet, it will be helpful to have a little bit of background knowledge about its playwrights. The idea of this activity is very simple. You just need to answer these questions. You will use a little thing called the internet to answer these questions using search engines such as Yahoo, Google, or Bing. And you will go through answering questions about his life, his famous works, the language used in his plays, because it is slightly different than the modern language we use, the Globe Theatre and the theater company he was in, some things about the times in which he lived, as you can see down here, his legacy, and most importantly, you will be tracking what websites you get your information from, when you receive that information, and at the bottom here, what kind of information you received from that website. The point of this is to give credit where credit is due, and to familiarize ourselves with research and how to document where you find your research. I don't think there's anything that's going to really trip you up as far as not understanding what's being asked of you in this activity. But I do want to point a couple things out, just so there's no confusion. When it asks to record at least 2 examples of each type of play below, that means of his plays, some plays fall in different genres. You guys remember genres as categories. Like a genre would be mystery or romance or comedy. So here, the plays he wrote that are histories, the plays that he wrote that are comedies, the plays that are tragedies, and of those 2, down here it asks you what's the biggest difference. And as we were doing this today, a lot of websites didn't do a very good job of just coming out and saying this, so I will say it for them. The answer is in the ending. People like to say, well, tragedies have a darker tone throughout, and comedies, have a lighter, playful tone, but that's not necessarily always the case. For example, in Romeo and Juliet, there's comic relief, there's a very playful, light tone in many parts of the play, and it doesn't get really, really dark until the end. And therein lies the difference, is how the play ends. Tragedies end in death and sadness and have a bleak outlook. Comedies usually almost always end in some sort of wedding or celebration. This happy, playful end. So really the biggest difference, honestly, is just how they end. I know that's not a real academic answer, but it is what it is. Other than that, I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to trip you up. So good hunting, good luck, and hopefully you become a little more familiar with William Shakespeare.